This is the season finale of the NFL regular season. The biggest regular season ever finally ends here. This is the end game. This is the Marvel's Avengers end game of the NFL season. It's the real last week of the NFL season, week 18. Perhaps one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most interesting last weeks of the season ever, in my opinion, in my time watching the NFL. Because, you know, a lot still remains on the line. Two divisions still up for grabs. Seeding still needs to be decided. Three playoff spots still unfulfilled. You know, a couple of them, two at least, win and get in. And a lot of crazier shit can happen. Again, typically, it was week 17 that would always bring us the craziness and change to that playoff picture that we're accustomed to seeing in years past. But now a new chapter begins with week 18. So here we are, week 18. I mean, it's still the same like concept of all these division rivalries coming to a head in the last week of the regular season. Well, for at least many, and for others, well, we're just here to play one last game. But for many others, it's pretty much a fight for seeding, for tune-ups, or to just get into the damn playoffs. Now, and when it comes to the actual playoffs itself, there are still things left to be decided. For the AFC, the top seed still remains up for grabs, and in all honesty, 4 teams can actually net this top seed. And for the Titans, you know, they have the easiest path to get it. They have the easiest yet trap-worthy path to get it, because even though all they have to do is beat the Houston Texans. Let's remember, the Texans whooped on their candy asses in, I think it was week 11. Yeah, in that rain-filled game. So the Titans, for all the consistency, you know, they may have the easiest path, but let's remember what the Texans did to them back in week 11. So the Titans should be, you know, a little more considerate coming into this final game, and you know, revenge will be on their mind as they try to get this top seed. So the Titans, all they have to do is win, and it's theirs. For the Chiefs, you know, it would have been a similar situation for the Chiefs had they not lost to the Bengals. But now, the Chiefs will now need to beat the Broncos on a Saturday and hope that the Titans falls to the Houston Texans on the next day, on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, the top seed is still there. It's still viable for them. But, you know, a lot of things need to go their way. They need to have the Chiefs and Titans lose, but they also need to see either the Patriots or the Bills. The Patriots, sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. They need to see the Patriots lose or the Bills win. And the top seed is somehow the Bengals. Even the Patriots, they have a potential chance to clinch it if they not only beat the Dolphins and the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Titans lose, they also get the AFC East and the top seed. I mean, any craziness can happen in this top seed madness. Speaking of the AFC East, it still remains open. It still remains on the line. The Bills, in my mind, have the easier path to get it, but also it can be trap-worthy considering how the Jets have been playing these last couple of weeks. You know, the Bills can close the door open on the AFC East by beating the somewhat woken up Jets. For the Patriots, they'll need to take care of a recently eliminated Miami Dolphins team, and they also have to hope the Bills flop against the Jets. You know, for the Colts, they have one last chance to win and get in, and all they have to do is beat on the all-elite Jacksonville Jaguars. But should they somehow lose this game against Tony Khanman's Jacksonville Jaguars, they can still get in if the Chargers and Steelers lose their games and the Dolphins win their game against the Patriots. Yeah. If you lose this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. So this next playoff scenario is for the Steelers and the Ravens. It's a win, but we need a lot of help or go home game for the Steelers and the Ravens. So whoever wins that game between those two teams will be immediately checking out the other teams throughout the day. The Steelers, they need to beat Baltimore, but they also have to hope the all-elite Jaguars beat the Indianapolis Colts, as well as the Chargers and the Raiders game on Sunday night. doesn't end in a tie. For the Ravens, they can make a backdoor entrance into the playoffs with Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley by beating the Steelers, but they probably have the least likely chance of hoping the Colts, the Chargers, and Dolphins all lose. But hey, anything can happen in the NFL. Now, this is a true win or go home game and a true way to end the regular season with Sunday Night Football between the Las Vegas Raiders and the LA Chargers. It's win or go home in the season finale. What a way to end the season there. Now, on the NFC side of things, the seeding below the top seed still remains undecided, which I guess why is the NFL scheduled these games in such a weird way. The NFC is still a little less, it's actually less complicated than the AFC. So the NFC West still remains undecided. The Rams pretty much could end all that discussion. All they have to do is beat the 49ers, or they can just see the Arizona Cardinals lose in an upset to Seattle. But Arizona can clinch that division if they beat the Seahawks and the 49ers beat the Rams. And if the 49ers beat the Rams, they pretty much get their wild card spot. But if the Rams clinch the NFC West, then the Saints, if they win, they beat the Falcons, the playoff spot that the Niners were gonna backdoor into, it's the Saints. So in other words, to make this simple, the wild card spot is either Niners or the Saints, pretty much. So overall, these things can get real interesting real fast, and things can change in a hurry come week 18. So that's why they call it the regular season finale, for many reasons. So let's get into these game picks for what is the end game for week 8 for this regular season. And then we start with the Saturday games on ESPN. The Kansas City Chiefs take on the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs, all they have to do is take care of business against an imploding Denver team that'll be trotting out Drew Lock. I mean, you beat them handedly on Sunday night a couple weeks ago. I mean, what's the worst you could do against Drew Lock? So just take care of business, and then you just have to hope that Davis Mills cooks up something against the Tennessee defense the next Sunday morning. So the Kansas City Chiefs are going to easily handle this one on a Saturday afternoon. For the Dallas Cowboys, they traveled to the city of brotherly love to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. For all my filthy casual fans, this may seem like a meaningless game. Some, in my opinion too, this also seems kind of meaningless. But for all those analytical people that somehow check out this podcast, this NFC East rivalry has turned into not just a potential playoff preview, but into a battle of seeding for both teams. The Cowboys, they have to win here and, hope that the Rams or the Bucks falter the next day to net either a 2 or 3 seed. But they have to hope that, they can not fall into the typical 4 seed reserved for the NFC East. Otherwise, they could face someone like the Rams or the Cardinals in the wild card. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, they can move 1 spot up to the 6th seed with the win and hope that the Niners get eliminated by the Rams the next day, and the Saints get into that 7th and final spot. So either way, yeah, this game, I mean, I guess it's something in terms of seeding, but for many people, not that much. I guess it's like a tune-up match for many people. Now, for the Sunday slate of games, we get into the early morning games. No Monday Night Football this week. Everything has been moved to Saturday primetime. So, the Sunday morning games. First, the Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions. Honestly, the first batch of games we're going to get into are pretty meaningless. So, we're going to roll through these really quick. So, the Green Bay Packers, having already clinched the top seed in the NFC, they have nothing to play for here. You're probably going to see a couple of tune-up series for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and Aaron Jones and the other Green Bay starters before Matt LaFleur pulls them out. So, I mean, you're not really going to see much from the Green Bay Packers in this game. Just like a tune-up of sorts before the Lions start to pounce on them. I mean, it's a meaningless loss for the Packers either way, so I'm going to roll with the Lions. The Washington football team takes on the New York Giants in New York. one last look for Dan Snyder to see if Ron Rivera is the right guy to lead the charge, and to see if Taylor Heineke can prove if he can be a decent starter, or at least a capable backup to whoever Washington wants to bring in as a starter, like whether it's via trade or via the draft. Who knows? So either way, I'm going to go Washington just simply because you can't go worse with Jake from State Farm, right? The Chicago Bears, yes, Bears football will strike one last time as they meet the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, Vikings football. Bears football will reign supreme one last time. Both teams bound to fire their head coaches in Matt Nagy and Mike Zimmer. So we're going to see who's willing to get desperate for one last meaningless win come Monday. So here, I guess I'm going to roll with the Vikings. The Indianapolis Colts take on the all-elite Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts, if they don't fuck this up, if Carson Wentz doesn't fuck up here, the Colts should easily be able to pound the pudding on not Jonathan Taylor, but with Jonathan Taylor into whatever is left of this all-elite Jacksonville Jaguars team and clinch their spot into the postseason. So, yeah, it's win and get in for the Colts here. The Tennessee Titans will travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Titans, they slept on the wheel with the Texans last time in the pouring wet rain at home. So, this time around, they're getting closer and closer to getting healthy. And, they've been playing somewhat better defense in the last couple of weeks. And, they're getting guys like A.J. Brown and Julio Jones back. So, this time around, they'll blow the gates open on the Houston Texans and get that first round bye that they really need to get everybody back, especially Derrick Henry. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Now, the question is whether Lamar Jackson actually comes back for this game. Now, for all the help that the Ravens need to get into the playoffs, I don't know. And also whether or not Lamar Jackson is not limping in practice by this point, it'll depend. But I don't think that the Ravens will even have enough to compensate for Lamar to beat the Steelers, who are going to follow up an emotional win for Ben on Monday night with one last win, even if it's like meaningless on paper, but it'll be like more like in terms of emotional impact, one last win for Big Ben to close the season. So I'm going to go with the Steelers. The Cincinnati Bengals take on the Cleveland Browns. Now, this game will depend on what happens with the Chiefs on Saturday. And this will depend on whether or not this game means something for the Bengals. Because even if they lose here, this won't really mean much to the Bengals in terms of seeding, because all they can really hope for is the 4 seed, I guess, because they're already locked into a 3 or 4 seed at most. So whether you want to play the Patriots or the Colts, it doesn't matter. You're going to be playing either one of them in the first round. So the Bengals may play its starters, but for how long depends on what the Chiefs do. But either way, I'm still going to roll with the Bengals just because how terrible Baker Mayfield has been these last couple of weeks. And then we get into the afternoon slate of games, and probably the more important slate of games. San Francisco 49ers take on the LA Rams in the season finale. Now, Kyle Shanahan does have Sean McVay's number as of late. 5 straight games where Kyle Shanahan has beaten the pudding out of Sean McVay's Rams. But, the Niners still have their questions at quarterback. And I think that's the biggest advantage the Rams have over the Niners. Are the Niners going to trot out a less than 100%, probably even less than 50% Jimmy Garoppolo with his right thumb sprain, right thumb fracture? Or is Trey Lance going to start in perhaps his most important game in just his 3rd start? So that's a big question that needs to be had here. So despite the Rams' own problems with Matthew Stafford, Detroiting with all those turnovers in the last couple of games, I think they're still going to have enough firepower with Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, Van Jefferson, Sony Michel. They still have enough firepower to light up a terrible Niners secondary. And, all that could be enough to finally put an end to the Niners and our fan base's delusional playoff hopes. And our backdoor entrance back our hopes into a backdoor entrance into the playoffs. And for the Rams, this will be their opportunity to clinch the NFC West once and for all. The New Orleans Saints travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. It's do or die time for the Saints. They need to get a must win over Atlanta. It's technically a revenge game for the Saints because, well, Atlanta actually managed to upset the Saints back in New Orleans in Week 9, and you got to hope that the Niners get hammered by the Rams to net their playoff spot. Either way, I think with all that, at how much Atlanta has been depleted in the last month or so, and how much talent they're actually lacking, the Saints, for all as injury depleted as they are, they get the job done here, and they just have to hope the Niners flop in LA. The Carolina Panthers take on the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't know why Tampa is in this late window when they pretty much don't have much to play for other than trying to get that 2 seed. I guess they're just trying to hope that the Niners beat the LA Rams, but I guess I'll go with Tampa. The Seattle Seahawks take on the Arizona Cardinals. You know, barring some typical choking from Arizona, they should be able to handle a terrible Seahawks team that's just trying to get a little bit more confidence to hope and convince that Russell Wilson doesn't want to demand a trade out of Seattle. But, you know, if the Rams beat the 49ers, the Cardinals will just have to settle for a 5th seed. But either way, the Cardinals are going to win this one. The New England Patriots take on the Miami Dolphins. The Pats facing a Dolphins defense looking to forget that terrible, terrible game. Mac Jones can run into some trouble against a so-so Miami defense, but Tua Tagovailoa can run into even more trouble against a better Patriots defense. And that's why I'm picking the Patriots. But even with the Patriots' efforts against the Dolphins, I don't think it'll be enough for what's going to happen in Western New York, as the Buffalo Bills host the New York Jets. Now, barring some unforeseen stupidity by the Bills, they should be able to handle Zach Wilson and the Jets and put them in their place so they can lay claim to their 2nd straight AFC East title. Now in the Sunday night game, a true winner-go-home game to end the season. And, of course, it's the perfect setting for this. In Las Vegas, the LA Chargers take on the Las Vegas Raiders in perhaps the biggest of gamble of games to end the season. It's win or go home, do or die to your playoff hopes. If you lose here, your playoff hopes go straight to the toilet of the gambling table. And who's going to get it? Well, sadly, it's going to be the home team and the Raiders. It's just they're just more inconsistent than the Chargers, and you know I don't have much belief in this Raiders team that they can run the table at least in the first round to this Chargers team. So Justin Herbert and this talent-filled team in the Chargers get it done on Sunday night unless they flop and they choke into the Clippers form. So those are my picks for this jam-packed and high-stakes filled Week 18. It's win or go home time for much of this league, and it's going to be a good one. It is going to be one of the more exciting weeks, probably the most exciting week in this NFL season. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your picks. Are you going to go with me, or are you going to go against me? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on Week 18 of this NFL season.